Well, I think we got dialed in. As close as it's going to get today. It's a hell of a lot better than it was yesterday. Once I started putting them down there pretty quickly, they just started tightening up. We had one by the bull, first shot, and all the rest were above it. The bull was right here. That was our first one, and then we put 4 more right here. 5 right there. We kind of pulled that one a little bit, but. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, The Public's Eye Outdoors. We've got a overview of product here tonight. This is a new rifle that I just purchased. Actually, it's been a few days. I've actually put rounds through this and had some experience with it already. But yeah, I just wanted to go over this new rifle that I purchased and kind of see what some of you might have thoughts on it or comments on, as a lot of you that maybe are new to the channel don't know, but some of you that follow me will know that I'm a bow guy first. I've been shooting bows for a long time, a lot more than I do guns, and I have a few guns. I don't have a lot of guns. It's not something that I go out and buy every year like a lot of guys will. Anyway, this is a rifle that I picked up. This particular caliber was not my first choice. My first choice was a 7mm. But the stores that I checked into, none of them had it in this model. So my second choice was the 308, and I've really always wanted a 308 just for the historical factor of the 308 in history and in military and stuff like that. It's just an all-around good gun, I think. It's kind of a bread and butter gun, if you want to put it in perspective. Some guys, it's one of those calibers that some guys really don't care for, some guys really like. It's just kind of the mediocre between a couple really good calibers, so some guys just can't justify buying it, or some guys just buy everything under the sun and don't care. They just want it. Yeah, I enjoyed this gun when I saw it. And this is a Savage. This is a 110. It has the AccuFit stock Accu trigger on it. We're going to open the action here so you know that there's nothing in here physically and visually seen, that there's no bullets in here. It's got the rounded fluted barrel on it. It's got that new finish to it. It's supposed to be a lot tougher than your Cerakotes. This isn't going to be a technical video. If that's something that you're looking for, this is not going to get real technical. This is just going to be my breakdown of my rifle and what I've added to it and kind of my first impressions and first experiences with it. So if you're wanting a little bit more technical, you can find a lot of other channels that talk about this gun in specs and things like that. So I will just break down the basics of it. So as I was saying, you have the AccuFit stock on this and the Accu trigger. Now the stock part of it is really functional and really a nice system. So what I'm talking about here is your cheek weld, your cheek piece is adjustable, and the way you adjust that is you just change them out. They give you 5 different sizes of cheek rest here that you can put on here. So you got the flat. And then you've got 2 others here that are just a little bit taller. And then you've got the one that I have on there, which is kind of the second to the tallest. And here's your tallest one. Pull that back pad off, slide this off, slap this one on, and you're ready to go. The other way that it can be adjusted is with your trigger pull, which is very important for setting up your gun to you. The cheek piece and your trigger pull length set to you specifically is really going to make your shooting experience a lot better, which I have found with it. So anyway, I've got the biggest one here plus the smallest one. So as you can see here, you can kind of fit those together to whatever you need as far as your trigger pull. When I talk about your trigger pull, you know, a lot of you guys will know this already, but some of you may not. You measure from your inside of your arm right here at your elbow.
you should be able to just lay your finger right into that trigger without being overextended or underextended. You know, if you're having to reach for that trigger, you know, you don't want to have to reach and just barely touch it. You want to be able to just put your first, you know, your first pad basically in there comfortably. Some guys may like to wrap in there a little bit further, but that right there is probably a pretty good trigger pull. You don't really want any more or less than that. So that's a good way to figure out how long you need that trigger pull. Obviously the cheek piece is explanatory. You just want to be able to set your cheek comfortably on there with your eyes closed, open your eyes and see through that scope. There's going to be some adjustments there with the scope itself to get that to happen. But between the cheek piece and your scope moving back and forth, you can get that to where you can just see perfectly through there when you open your eyes. And that's the whole goal right there when it comes to leveling out your point of view. The Accu-Trigger is a nice trigger. I really enjoy this trigger. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it, but it is a safe trigger for one. This is a very safe system. So on the back side here you have a 3-setting safety system. Okay, I have it on safe. I pull that Accu-Trigger and that main trigger is locked. It will not go anywhere. Okay, and the bolt will not open. So the furthest setting back, you can't open the bolt, you can't pull the trigger. The second setting allows you to open the bolt. So if I need to get in there or something, you know, change out a load or whatever, forgot that I had one and I have to see in there, I can do that. But there again, I still do not have any trigger functionality. So that's your second safety. And once you go forward to your third setting, now it's live, now it's hot, you're ready to rock. The other nice thing about this Accu-Trigger is bump this or drop it, adjusting your trigger to a lighter pull, which I have done with this, and it's easy to do with these triggers. You can go in there, take a couple bolts off the bottom, take that barrel off and get in there and screw that tension spring back and get your tension on your trigger to a very light trigger pull. I think this comes down to almost like 1.5. Just with my finger, the minute I touch that trigger, it's going off. The other safety feature to this trigger though, this Accu-Trigger is nice. If, you know, having a light trigger like that, a lot of guys will say, well, that's not very safe because if you drop that gun, it's going off. Well, that's not true. And I'm going to show you why. So your main trigger, if I drop this, did you hear that click? That was the trigger pull. It's not going to go off. That's basically another safety lock. So once that trigger is pulled without this Accu-Trigger being pressed in, it locks itself. It's basically shutting the door on that trigger. I don't know if I'm explaining this right, but that's a heck of a safety feature in my eyes. So if you do happen to drop this thing and it hits and that trigger snaps back, that Accu-Trigger is going to lock and keep that gun going off. So there's a lot of good safety features to this line. Okay, let's move on. Let's go up top here. So the scope that I chose to put on this is the Strike Eagle from Vortex. Now this is one of their larger scopes. This is a 5 by 25 by 56 scope. And I am not a gun guy. I'm a bow guy at heart. But so my terminology may be a little funky to you guys. But it's a very clear, it's got a 34-inch tube, so you get a lot of light in there with that 56. Your windage and your elevation knobs, your turrets here, are locking, so you have to lift up and then turn them, and then you can push them down and lock them in. This one has a parallax dial on the side, which is very nice. So this is a first focal plane scope. So what basically I'm saying there is that the reticle will adjust according to the zoom. So everything moves together. It's all in one fluid motion. Everything's expanding and zooming, contracting together. So all your MOA settings and everything are correct at any zoom setting. The other nice thing about this scope is it has a lighted reticle. Now the scope itself is not lit up. This is not a night scope or anything crazy like that. This is a lighted reticle, not a lighted scope. You have 7 different settings for this light knob. Crazy thing about it is if it's sunny out, you will not see that light at all. I'm really anxious to learn this reticle. This reticle is a pretty busy reticle. It's got a lot going on. But I think once I've learned how to use this reticle, I think it's going to be top notch. Anyway, moving on, let's go down to the bipod that I have on this is a Harris. I do have a scope level coming for this too. The other nice feature to this gun, the threaded barrel here at the end. So we can take this off and put a suppressor or you can also put a muzzle brake on here. Now this gun does have some substantial weight to it. With that barrel, this scope, the bipod really does not weigh much at all, but with all this on there, this gun weighs around 10.5 pounds. So it is pretty substantial in weight. The other thing that I've added to this, now this is a homemade sling, nothing fancy. Sorry about the noise, I've got trucks being loaded over there at the elevator, so every once in a while you'll hear a big hissing noise. That's all the corn or beans or whatever they're loading up. This strap here that I've put on this is just a simple 1-inch webbing. Got 2 sliders on here to adjust it. So basically what I've done is sewn a lap over here, like a loop, onto my sling rings I've purchased separately. Sewed that on that side, ran it through, put my sliders on there, ran it through their sliders, and now I can adjust this wherever I need it. So whatever length I want, I can adjust this. The other nice thing about this sling, and this was the main reason that I built this myself instead of purchasing something. The purchase slings I've never really had a lot of luck with. Just not fit right, not feel right, slipped, whatever. But this, being as simple as it is, has a lot of functionality to it. And the reason that I built this myself was because I watched videos with guys in the military line and even, technical guys that had done the same. Theirs were a little bit more technical than what this is, but the idea has been the same here. So what I'm wanting to accomplish is to turn this sling into a tool, not just a slap over my shoulder. This sling that I built was more for functionality and as a tool. So I've got my pad here. I'm down on the gun. Now if I take a shot, being able to lock this gun in solid. So I'm on the bench at the shooting range, or I'm out in the field on a mounted up ready to shoot. Now this right here is not a bad deal with the bipod, the bag, everything. I'm pretty solid right here. So my thought process was to build this strap so I could make a movable, basically a center movable hole here. Okay, I can put this center wherever I want it. What I really like about this, and I didn't realize this when I was initially doing it, initially my thought process was to be able to wrap this. Okay, take this in, stick my arm through that hole and lock it in that way. Okay, now I can put back force on that gun and I'm solid. But then after playing with it, then I realized in a prone position or on a bench like this, there's another way to use this strap. So right here, I've got it coming from the front to me right here. Okay, now I'm going to move this back. So let's take this back here, and we're going to move this back. Now I've got basically a arm sling here, and I can pull can literally pull that gun into my shoulder. Okay? And I can sit here all day. Rock solid. Even when I reach up to touch this gun, it does not move because I've got tension. I can lock this hand behind that bag or on my shoulder or on my bicep or wherever I want it. And that is anchoring that front end. Not even me sitting here talking, I cannot see that reticle move at all. What's going to happen is that front end's not going to hop on me now. Now I can move this up and put even more front tension on this. Say I move it up to here. I take this one up. Now I can take my hand through there and I can just pull back on it like this and down. Okay, whatever is comfortable for you. Right there. Okay, that gun's easy to rack and that front end's not going to hop. I think my preferred position on that is back a little bit. So that was the reason for the sling. The reason that I built this sling myself and didn't buy one. And not to mention this 1-inch webbing weighs absolutely nothing. There is no weight to this sling at all. Really functional, simple sling. So anyway, that's it in a nutshell. So that's what I've got for you. Hopefully this was interesting to you. This is a gun that you've been looking at and you just kind of wanted to figure out what kind of setup you might want on it. You know, this is just one that I put together. It's not right, it's not wrong, what I went with. I want to thank you for watching. If you like this video, please hit the like button. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already. And share the videos with a friend if you get a chance. I want to thank you for watching. Stay safe out there in your hunts and everything that you do in the outdoors. And we will see you on the next